Welcome to today's episode of the J&J podcast. I'm Jamie.
I'm Jameson.
We want to welcome all of our listeners in. We both of us were actually traveling, so we were on hiatus last week. And since then, we've actually had Memorial Day. So I want to say thank you to all of those who have fought for our freedoms and those who continue to fight. Thank you for your service and thank you for all that you do. We're going to jump right into this week's episode, and it's really more focused around the NBA and the WNBA. We've got a couple of topics that we want to touch on for this week. And Jameson, I'll let you kick it off. The first is the NBA playoffs, the Wolves and the Thunder. The Thunder are actually up 3-1. And I'm just curious as to your thoughts about it. Do you think that this series is over?
Yeah, I think it's chopped cheese. Unfortunately, it's just, and before I get into that, because we didn't get to say it last week, huge shout out to SGA, man, winning MVP.
Yes.
Honestly, I thank God that the NBA voters got it right this year. We talked about it in the past, but I think honestly, Shea should be a back-to-back MVP. But that's another topic for another podcast episode. But getting into the Wolves and Thunder series currently, especially after last night, the Thunder are currently up 3-1. The reason why I think this series is over is because I think honestly defensively that the Thunder have figured out Anthony Edwards. I mean, it showed last night. And part of this is honestly, I love Anthony Edwards, but it's somewhat on him. Last night, Dad, you know how many shots Anthony Edwards had taken by halftime?
How many?
Two shots. Two shots.
Yeah, so he's either gunning or he's just not shooting.
Yeah, and it's like, and there's no, and the thing is, like, going back to game 3, it's like when they actually blew out the Thunder by 40, the reason why that was because he came out uber aggressive. And it's like to go from that and you beating the Thunder by 40 to then the very next game, you only shoot 2 shots by halftime. And then for the game, what made it worse was he only shot 13 shots total. And what's even crazier about that is they only lost by 2. So imagine if Anthony Edwards came out aggressive and gave them 25 to 30 points. They would have won that game. Now, I'm going to take it as far as to say it's like, and some of it was, I got to give credit to the Thunder. It's like the Thunder, this might be one of the best defensives that I've seen in the last decade, just being honest with you. Like, I haven't seen the defense play this good since, like, the 2016 Golden State Warriors, just being candid with you. But on the flip side, I'm like, Anthony Edwards, bruh. Like, this reminds me of that playoff series that LeBron had against the Mavericks. Like, that game that, like last night, I'm like, I get it. It's like, because they even interviewed him after the game. He was like, I'm just trying to make the right basketball play. I'm like, I get all that. But I'm like, your team needed you to drop 30-plus last night. Prime example was, you know how many Shea had? He had 40 points on 31 shot attempts. So it's like, trust me, the brother got his shots up. But at the same token, it's like he gave them 40 points, and they needed every point. They only won by 2. And then also, too, to add to Anthony Edwards, I'm like, Julius Randle was god-awful last night. The brother had 5 points. So
he's now had 2 games where he has been just, like, atrocious.
Yeah, he had the one good game in game 3, him and Anthony Edwards. That's the game they won by 40. But outside of that, I'm like, you're feeding into the narrative of the Knicks fleeced the Timberwolves in that trade.
Well, that game before, okay, so he had the game where he scored 40. The game before that, he didn't even play in the 4th. He had 6 points.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. And it's like, my thing is going back to last night, it's like, if you see that, Anthony Edwards, it's like Julius Randle doesn't have it going, who else is going to score? Like, Nas Reed didn't have it going. Dante DiVincenzo gave them some decent minutes. But it's like you have to just take over at that point. You can't just keep being passive and trying to get everybody else involved. It's like you got to know when to take over. And I get it. Anthony Edwards is young, but I'm like, if he's going to be the face of the league, it's like that's what separated Kobe. That's what separated Michael Jordan, the all-time greats. I'm like, as much as I love Anthony Edwards, I was like, last night was very disappointing. Because like I said, he had 16, Julius Randle had 5, and they only lost by 2. So imagine if they would have gotten anything more, especially from Anthony Edwards. We could be tied up 2-2, going back to OKC. It's wraps now, though, because they're down 3-1.
Oh, yeah, it's a wrap. Michael Jordan is not if he has 2 shots at halftime, he's going to finish the game with 28
That's
shots.
what I'm saying. He's gunning,
He might finish the fourth quarter with 28
especially in the
shots.
playoffs.
Yeah, I'm
He
saying
would
he
he
might put up
he
28 in just one quarter.
yeah, and that's the thing.
28 shots.
He
So,
and that's the thing. He would do that in a regular season game. If it was a playoff game, he would have 40. He
yes,
would have 38 shot attempts in the second half. No trouble.
absolutely.
So
No troll.
so only to have 2 shot attempts going into halftime, and then whenever your team needed you. And here's my thing too. It's just like from a basketball player, like just having played the game. It's like when you don't shoot the ball, it's like it's hard to get into a rhythm. Even if you're missing shots, you need to just get in the flow of the game. It's like we've seen it plenty of times. I've had games where like I'll come out and I'm still gunning, but I'm not hitting shots. But it's like I'm still developing that rhythm. So by the time it gets to the third or fourth quarter, it's like it's not nothing for me to still keep getting my shots up. And more times than not, good players, the shots are going to start falling. But it's like for you not to just actually attempt shots, and then the MVP on the other end of the court has 31 shot attempts, that's unacceptable, bro.
Completely.
And that's a do or die game. It's like if they win that game, it's 2-2. But
Yeah,
now it's
well,
3-1 going back to OKC, and it's now going to be SGA, Chet, J-Dub, and the OKC fans against Minnesota. This wraps. But your
I
thoughts?
would. Yeah, no, I don't have a lot to add.
Yeah.
I think that when you're only putting up that number of shots,
Hmm.
I don't understand the mentality, because if you're the leader of that team, and
Yeah.
I don't know how many, like, it's not like he had a ridiculous amount of assists or anything like that either.
No.
You're just not being aggressive, and to your point, if your shot is not falling, then that means you have to be aggressive going to the basket so you can at
Facts.
least get to the free throw line.
And Dad,
Like,
I'm glad you brought that up because all the talk has been about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander this year. It's just like, oh, he's a free throw merchant. He foul baits.
yes,
I'm like, but think about it. The all-time greats, the Kobe's, the MJ's, the KDs, like the
James
all-time
Harden.
great scorers, James Harden. That James Harden, they literally had to fix the rule because that brother was
he
shooting
was
20
averaging
free throws
20
a game.
free throws a game.
Dad, dudes were literally walking up the court, putting their hands behind their back, guarding James Harden.
Yes,
Like
yes,
you get, but so I get it. Like there's extremes like that, like Joel Embiid, he's a foul baiter. Like
yeah,
all the greats do it though, and I'm like Anthony Edwards. Like you're too good, you're too athletic to not be getting to the free throw line more. And I get it.
yep,
You don't have to be like Shea or like Jalen Brunson does, but I'm like you still got to be. If your jump shot is not falling, and that's another thing for me too. I'm like I think this offseason, Ant needs to get back in the gym and just work on straight mid range jump shots because
yes.
all
Too
he
many threes.
he either shoots too many threes or it's just straight line drives to the basket. I'm like, if he develops a strong mid range game, which was wild, it's just like last year
He
he
has
had
it.
that. He had that. I'm like, why
Yeah,
are you not? And my thing is, part of that might be he needs to develop somewhat of a low post game in a sense because think about it, Kobe did that, LeBron did that, Michael Jordan had post moves. I'm like. Anthony Edwards is too big and too strong at the shooting guard spot to not be getting to the free throw line more. It's unacceptable.
agreed. I don't have much more to say about that one. I think that series is over.
Yeah.
So Pacers Knicks. Actually, while we're recording this, the game has not started.
Yeah.
The Pacers are up 2-1. Knicks came back last game down 20. Um, I'll be honest with you. I think this one's going 6, might
Same.
even go 7.
Same.
So Pacers are up 2-1. Tonight's game is, I think, in Indianapolis.
It is.
Yeah. So what's your prediction for tonight's game?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, and this is gonna sound crazy. I know you said 6 or 7. I think this series is still over in 5 games. And the reason why I say that is it's like having watched that last game, New York kind of caught a break. It's like I get it. Like Karl-Anthony Towns was on an absolute burner. Like he couldn't miss. But I do feel like down the stretch, like really the Pacers just made they had too many turnovers and they started just playing loose with the basketball. I think they're gonna clean that up tonight, especially with the game being in Indiana. And so it's like if they win tonight and it goes back to New York, they've already shown they stole both of the first 2 games on the road in New York. So I'm like, there's no reason why I don't feel like they can do that again. And part of the reason why I feel like the series is kind of over and I predict the Pacers will win the next 2 games, it's like the Knicks are gassed. Like,
Yep.
and we've said this throughout the honestly the entire regular season, and especially it's been really evident throughout the playoffs. It's like Tom Thibodeau. It's like he runs players into the ground. He's been doing this since his days in like Chicago and even Minnesota with Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose. It's like, bro, like you have to play your bench at some point, man. It's absolutely. And here's what I'll say in his defense: some of the players aren't the best, like. But for example, I watched the game the other night. Landry Shamet came in and gave some really productive minutes. I'm like, why have you not been staggering those minutes? Throughout the entire duration of the playoffs. I'm like, why are you just now doing this? But I think the Knicks are tired. It's like they've had too many games throughout this year's playoffs where they've had to claw and kind of scrape back from like large deficits, and I'm like, it gets to a point where these players are gassed. And that one thing I noticed that I don't know if you noticed as well. You remember in years past, like by the time we would get to the Western Conference Finals, we would have like 2, sometimes maybe even 3 days in between games. It's like, bruh, these players aren't getting enough rest either. Like, think about it. The Pacers just played 2 nights ago. They're already playing again. Same with the Thunder just played last night. They're already playing again tomorrow. It's like there's no rest in between. So it's like Tom Thibodeau, he doesn't stagger minutes. Dudes are tired.
I would agree. Now I said 6 games because now if the Knicks win tonight, I mean, I'm sorry, if the Pacers win tonight,
Oh,
it's
it's
a
right.
wrap.
Yeah. But if the
Yeah,
Knicks win tonight,
but
I see why you say 6 or 7 games.
yes,
Yeah. Because it goes back to New
if
York.
that's right, and I don't think that they're going to then win 2 more games straight like they did at the very beginning where
Yeah.
they stole the
I
first
agree.
2. I don't think that's going to happen. If the Knicks lose tonight, then I think it's wraps.
Yes, sir.
Then I think, yeah, it's a strong possibility to go 5. But if the Knicks win tonight, it's going 6.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to have to go 6 because you got to win
Facts.
4 games.
Facts.
But I just don't know. To your point, I don't know. I mean, it's almost too late for Thibodeau
Yeah.
to now start trying to play players because they don't have a rhythm. They don't
No.
have a normal rotation. Um, because dudes play 38 minutes a night,
Exactly.
and that's kind of ridiculous, especially when you don't have 3 days to recover.
No.
You're literally it's basically a day in between, and then you're playing the next night. That might be something that Adam Silver needs to take a look at as well.
Yeah, because I'm like,
Stretching the games out a little more.
I'm like, even, and some stuff is just a fluke thing, but I'm like, would Jason Tatum have gotten injured if there was some more rest in between games? Like,
Right.
you know,
A lot of guys got injured during the
that's what
playoffs.
I'm saying. Anthony Edwards, I mean, Stephen Curry, like
Yeah.
hamstring. It's like LeBron, we found out he had a sprained MCL after the fact. I'm like, dudes are tired. Like,
Yes.
there's not enough time in between, and I get it. Like, in years past, it got annoying when we would watch an NBA Finals game on Monday and then the next one wasn't until Friday or Saturday. So I get it. You don't want the schedule to be that, like, far out. But you have to find a healthy balance where it's like you're still giving the fans enough airtime while still protecting the health of the players. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So, and here's the last thing I'm going to say about the Knicks. This could be similar to a Dwayne Casey situation where it's like, most people on the outside looking in would be like, man, Tom Thibodeau has him in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, his job is secure. I think they might fire him after this year, believe it or not.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I could, especially given the fact that you literally lost two home games, and it's primarily because you really don't have
Yeah, dudes are
but a six,
gassed.
but a 7-man rotation.
Sometimes it's
Like,
not even 7. It's like
yeah,
they'll play their starters and then Deuce McBride. That's it.
yeah, that's true.
That's
That's true.
genuinely it.
Yeah. But like you said, Landry Shamet came in the other night. I don't think he had much of a choice in that game, though.
Facts. He didn't. Because Brunson was
Because
gassed.
again, they were coming down. They were down 20 and came
Yeah.
all the way back. So he had to give somebody a few minutes to breathe.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see. My prediction is that it'll probably go 6. I still
Yeah.
expect the Pacers to win. So let's shift. We talked about the NBA. Let's shift to the WNBA. Obviously, hot topic right now. Caitlin Clark is going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Tell me your thoughts about that.
Honestly, I mean, I hope she recovers fast. It's like, people love watching Caitlin Clark play. And I will say, it's kind of honestly concerning for the Fever. I know the season just started, but it's like they currently have a record of 2-2. And I'm like, Caitlin Clark is clearly their best player. I'm like, without having her for 2 to 3 weeks, I wonder how the team is going to hold up in her absence. But I mean, overall, it's not really anything I'm too concerned about. It's just a quad injury, so I'm like, hopefully she recovers pretty fast and she can go and get back to playing basketball. But my only concern is for the Fever, because I'm like, if they lose 3, 4, 5 games in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm like, that could be hard to claw back from. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
That would be an uphill climb.
Yeah.
It absolutely would. So, speaking of her, and I'm segueing it to this because I know that the folks who sit on TV every day and talk about the WNBA, they're talking about who the MVP favorite is right now. It's Nafisa Collier.
Oh,
There
it's not
really
even
shouldn't be a
close.
debate. It's not even close. But I mean, ridiculously, there are folks who are still saying that it's Caitlin Clark. I
Yeah.
don't agree. Um, and here's the other thing. Not that I'm trying to tie the two together, because there's always jokes when it comes to Angel Reese, but quietly, she's literally averaging a double double.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, that's the thing. We're accustomed to it because she did it last year.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in my opinion, the MVP right now for the WNBA is Nafisa Collier.
What
What are your thoughts about that?
No, I can 1,000% agree. And it was like, you remember, you can go back to the podcast
We
episodes.
we
We
talked about
literally
it.
said coming into this
Yes.
season, Nafisa Collier was our pick. I'm like, seeing what she did in the Unrivaled League. It's like, even now the Lynx are 4-0. So it's like, how
Yep.
in the world are you averaging the most points right now across the entire WNBA? You're top 5 in rebounds. I'm like, your team is 4-0. How are you not the clear cut favorite to be MVP? Like, she was in the discussion last year to be MVP, and it's like,
Yes.
she's gotten even better. So
Yep.
this whole narrative of, oh, it's Caitlin Clark, I'm like, Caitlin Clark's put up some incredible numbers. Don't get me wrong, but they're 2-2. I'm sorry,
Yes.
they're 2-2, and
This
now God knows how their record is going to be whenever, with her being out now for a couple
well,
weeks. So
this reminds me. This feels eerily similar to Jokic.
yep,
Team
and
not
Shay.
winning. He's putting up crazy numbers, but everybody was like, "Well, you look at his numbers. Well, the team stinks."
No,
Um,
they pick and choose though, because
they do.
like, because even last year, like, you know there was a point in the season where it was like Angel Reese was the clear cut favorite for Rookie of the Year, and then that
Yes.
second half of the season it just slowly started to shift, and you saw
Yep.
what happened. But and here's what I'm gonna say about Angel Reese just quickly. I pray for her a lot, man, because I'm like, she deals with a lot, man. I'm like,
Yeah.
it don't matter if she puts up 20 and 10, they still gonna say, oh, you missed too many layups. Or oh, you got into foul trouble, or you handled this confrontation wrong. I'm like, I really pray for her, because I'm like, I couldn't imagine having to deal with some of these like, there were people literally at the game whenever we didn't talk about this, but like at the Fever game making monkey noises towards
I
her.
know.
I'm like,
I know.
I pray for her health a lot, and like her mental health, because I'm like, she's an ambassador for the league, whether people want to agree with it or not. I'm like, even from a social media perspective, there's not a WNBA player that has more of a social media following than her right now, in my
Yep.
opinion. And the brand deals speak for themselves too. And I think part of the reason why people aren't talking about the Sky as much is because, I mean, right now
Well,
they
they
are,
stink.
they're 0-3. They absolutely suck. And here's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
say. Honestly, right now, it's kind of like you get what's coming to
Oh,
you. Why would you
got rid
fire
of
Teresa Withers?
Witherspoon.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good enough for you.
It's
You
like
reap
good
what
enough
you
for you.
sow.
And even now, I'm like, why in the world did you draft Haley Van Lith? She's gonna get no burn, bruh.
Thank
Like,
you.
it makes
Like, if you're not
absolutely
going to
no
play her,
sense.
yeah. Like, if you're not going to play her, I'm just telling
It
you, man.
baffles me, man.
I look at some of the decisions. I look at some of, you know, what's supposed to be systems that they're putting in
Yeah,
place, and I'm like, man, I personally could probably go coach that team better.
facts.
Like,
That prime
it's,
example is Lisa Leslie wanted to be a head coach. I'm like,
I know
how in the world is Lisa Leslie not a head coach in the WNBA right now, bruh? Come on, bruh.
that one of the greatest ambassadors of.
One of the greatest players and ambassadors
Well,
ever.
I'm saying ambassador because we already knew she was one of the
Oh, of
greatest players.
course. Yes, sir. Yeah.
And the reason she is one of the greatest ambassadors is because she's one of the greatest players.
Facts.
So it makes absolutely no sense.
It baffles me.
As you've said before, that's a different podcast for a different day and
Facts.
for a different audience because we know what time it
Yeah,
is.
we already know what
Um,
time it is.
we do. While we're talking about the WNBA,
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about who you think has had the biggest, so far at the beginning of the season, um, the player who has had the biggest positive results, and then maybe some players that you've kind of been disappointed in to start the season.
Well, I actually have three that I'm really been so far impressed with till I started the season. So the first one's been Kiki Finn for the Washington Mystics. They currently have a 2-3 record, but she's been putting up incredible numbers. Like she's almost averaging a double double already, which I kind of expected. But the Mystics have been pretty trash the last couple of years, so she's actually been one of the bright spots for that organization. So shout out to her. The second player is, and I'm gonna be honest, is making the Aces look terrible for the trade. Has been Kelsey Plum. She's been absolutely hooping for the Sparks. I'm like, if they can just get everybody healthy, and when I say healthy, I'm like, Rakia Jackson's been hurt the last couple of games. Cameron Brink's not back, but I'm like, if they can have everybody on that team healthy, that's gonna be a scary team, bro. Like, if they find a way to sneak into the playoffs this year, I'm like, that's the team that you're not gonna want to play because they just got a lot of young talent. And now you have Kelsey Plum to the fold. It's like she has that championship DNA experience. Like she's one of the best point guards in the league right now. So I'm like, I really want to see that team fully healthy. But shout out to Kelsey Plum. And then the last one has been on Natasha Cloud for the Liberty. You remember I was telling you about her after I watched her play that the very first game of the season against the Aces. You remember I forgot that she even signed with the Liberty. I'm like,
Yes,
what more players do they need? I mean, my God,
exactly.
they just won a championship, but
It's the Golden State Warriors
facts.
all
I'm
over
like,
again.
the fact that they got Natasha Cloud is like, because honestly, Sabrina Ionescu hasn't had the best start to the season, but Natasha Cloud's made up for a lot of her shortcomings so far. So huge shout out to her. And the Liberty are once again scary again. Honestly, we might have the same WNBA finals this year again
I agree.
between the Liberty and the Lynx. But your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell you very quickly both the ones that I've,
Oh, I didn't do
uh,
disappointed, but I'll get back to that after you.
yeah, biggest positives. Now, I mean, it's kind of easy because she's consistent.
Yeah,
Asia Wilson is
facts. She been hooping,
balling.
man.
I mean, she's been doing it. And, inversely or conversely, um, her teammates. And I'm going to single out because I'm sitting here like, y'all really shouldn't have let Deja
Deja
Kelly
Kelly,
go.
facts.
Because Chelsea Gray has been terrible.
Yeah,
Like it. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. She's Draymond Green.
yeah.
Like she can't shoot to save her life.
And we
Like
were talking about that. I was like, she plays so well in Unrival. Like she's always had the mid range pull up, but she just keeps shooting a lot of threes. And I'm like, that's not your game, bro.
that's not your game. Like she shoots like Draymond Green with a backpack on.
That JanSport monster.
I mean, so that's to me, it's been the teammates of Asia Wilson, but it's more so Chelsea Gray because like I thought her coming back from the injury, the Olympic because man she didn't do what she was Jason Tatum in the
Facts.
Olympic, she really was, and so I was like yeah she's gonna have a chip on her shoulder nah because her mid range game is non-existent. She
Facts.
just wants to shoot threes. Of course, she's an elite passer, but this team needs for you to score.
Yep.
And here's what I will say about Deja Kelly.
Oh,
Deja Kelly,
she
had
a
they not
bucket
cut
getter.
her, she's a bucket getter. Right now, Deja Kelly would be averaging 17, 19 points a game
Because that,
on
even
that team.
to add to that, is funny. That was like the thing you were disappointed in. That was one of mine too. One of the two that I had. Because I'm like, I saw a stat right now that Asia Wilson is currently leading the Aces in points per game, assists per game, rebounds per game, and steals per game. I'm like, bruh, can she get some
That's
help?
ridiculous.
My
I mean,
God.
listen, it's okay for her to put up Wilt like numbers,
Yeah.
but my God,
But
can
Dad,
somebody come
to
along for the ride?
your point with Chelsea Grace, like how are you the point guard and you don't even average the most assists? Like your center averages more points than you. You're supposed to be the point guard. That's
More
unacceptable,
assists than
bruh.
you. Yes, more assists than you. It's unacceptable. It
And
just is.
then here's what I'm gonna say too, like, because it goes back to we're just talking about the Kelsey Plum trade. I love Jewel Lloyd, but I'm like, bro, you got to hoop. Like, I
Yes.
get it. You in a new environment, different team. It's about fit, but she's had games where she has 6 points, 7 points. That's unacceptable, bro.
Julius Randle.
Yep, that
That's who she
random
is.
monster.
I'm serious. I've been paying attention. I'm like, man, Kelsey Plum is Carl Anthony Towns, and you are you you've literally become Julius Randle.
Yep. And then here's what I'm gonna say: the other team I'm very disappointed in, and it's like I didn't have the highest expectations because they sucked last year. But the Dallas Wings, I mean, my goodness, you get Paige Beckers, you have Enrique Gumua. I get it, you lost Satu Sabali, that's a huge loss. But you're 0-4. That's unacceptable, bro.
Unacceptable.
You got to get a fan something to root for. It's like, and I will say this though, the WNBA and the NBA, they've been showing dumb hospitality to the basketball fans in Dallas. First with Paige Beckers and now Cooper Flag. I still don't understand that. But like I said, another topic for another day. But for you to be 0-4 right now, that they might mess around and get the number one pick again next year. They stink. Yeah. They suck.
They're terrible. And the team that listen, the Mystics, the fact that they're 2-3,
they don't even have Georgia Amore because you remember they drafted her. She's out for the season. She tore ACL.
And that's the reason why everything that Area Fan is doing is
it's huge.
That much more impressive. Because they're not a team that should be 2-3.
No,
to be perfectly honest,
they shouldn't.
They're playing better than Dallas right now,
Facts.
and they don't have the talent that Dallas has.
Exactly.
You know. So,
exactly.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up this episode.
Cool.
Because there's more stuff that we really want to talk about, but to be perfectly honest with our listeners, we really wanted to hone in and focus in on the NBA because seasons are. The NBA is wrapping up, and then it's the beginning of WNBA. We're going to have, a podcast that's really just dedicated to the WNBA as the season continues to progress. So we're going to wrap up today's episode with moving the needle. Jamison, what's your moving the needle?
My moving needle is LeBron James. Supposedly, Shams reported today that LeBron is going to opt into, the next season's contract that he has. And if he does that, they're saying more than likely this might be LeBron's last season. So I got to already get my tickets before that stock rise.
Oh, no doubt.
LeBron monster.
Yeah, we're going to have to
find... We're going to have to bite the bullet, bro.
Yeah, listen. Charlotte, Atlanta.
We're going to figure it out. Even if I got to go to L.A., I'm seeing Bron before he retires, no doubt. And I'm bringing my Bron Barbie with me. No trouble.
Okay. Probably not going to go quite that far.
Yeah, that's crazy glaze.
Yeah. So, yes. My moving the needle, again, all of our listeners know we're Tar Heel homers, is Van Allen Lubin. Really? That's what we're doing?
NC State, bro? Okay.
That's what we're doing. There is an example of somebody who did that exact same thing, and you see how that turned out.
Yep.
I don't have to mention he spent a year or two with Georgetown, and he came back. And I have to mention how that played out for him.
Exactly.
So I don't know what Van Allen Lubin was thinking. And I guess when he saw, the two bigs that came in, and of course Caleb Wilson, he thought maybe I'm not going to get as much playing time. Well, it'll be interesting to see how Will Wade, if this gets finalized, how Will Wade uses him, because it's going to be difficult. It's going to be, he may get more playing time, but he's not going to get the quality of playing time that he would have gotten had he stayed in Chapel Hill. There's a major difference. You can come in the game and start, or you can get a lot of playing time, but are they impactful minutes?
Exactly.
That's right. Exactly. So, very disappointing. And I'm not going to be like those fans who say stuff like, well, we've got... Jared Stevenson, and we've got Caleb Wilson, and we've got Henry. I'm not gloating on that fact because I think he would be a lovely
We talked about that. We were like, imagine him coming off the bench and just giving us good staggered minutes, man.
Just
good ball.
Absolutely. So I'm actually very disappointed in, the decision that he made. I get it. Everybody has to make the best decision for them. And I hope it actually works out for him, but I just don't think it's going to work out the way he thinks it is.
I agree.
So we'll see. I think, Jim Turner and Hubert Davis now have, amazingly, they still have more work to do.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I know there's some international players that they're taking a look at. There's some conversations being had. So we'll see how that all plays out. But, yeah. Fun times.
Yep, fun times.
Well, that's going to wrap the J&J podcast for this week. We appreciate everybody listening in. We will see you next week.